go, sports fans and Viking fans everywhere. Thank you for joining episode 3 of season 2 of The Buck Stops Here. I appreciate everybody watching. I appreciate you being here today. I really thank anyone who's paying attention to my podcast. Give me just one moment here. We're going to demask, okay? It's a little easier to talk without the mask on, you know. All right. So the Buckster is back, and we are ready to roll. So how's everybody doing out there today? Hopefully good. Just want to make sure you can all hear me. So if there's any issues, please let me know. Things are looking ready to roll here with the Buckster. I got a new format here again. The producer, Skibby Bombasode, has come back and given me some information to talk about with y'all. So I appreciate it. Look, there's a little bit of Southern there, huh, y'all? You know, I've been trying something different. We've been trying to go live with this, and I feel pretty good about it now. I've had some help with my son and his friend, so thank you, Evan and AJ. I really appreciate that. Issues last week, I believe, are resolved as long as you all can hear me. So if there's no sound, if you all can hear me, somebody just say something there, just so I know that we're ready to rock and roll. We're going to talk a little NBA Finals today. We'll talk some Olympic basketball. We'll talk a little bit about the NHL Finals. I haven't been following hockey as tight as I can, but, you know, thank you for telling me you can hear me. I appreciate that. But I know that the Nashville Predators are still alive in this, and to me that's exciting because they're just 3 hours down the street. That's the closest thing I have to hometown hockey. Have not been to a game, but I can tell you I plan on trying to make one next year. Then we're going to talk a little Major League Baseball, and in our closing, I'm going to talk about how disappointing Extreme Rules was. I don't know what WWE is doing. They get you hyped up, and they just kind of go in an opposite direction. NBA. Can the Cavs really come back from 3-0, down 3-0? It is now 3-1. I think they need 3 more perfect games. You need Kevin Love to keep hitting those threes and grabbing some of those offensive and definitely defensive rebounds. And if Love can't stay in these games, it's going to be real difficult for the Cavaliers to even stay close. Tristan Thompson had a great game this past game, and he really needs to continue to do that for the Cavaliers. And Jefferson, kind of that key guy you don't hear much about, he played an awesome game as well. Kyrie and LeBron are going to do what they do best, and that's going to be to put points on the board. LeBron's going to direct the whole thing. That's what LeBron does. He's the conductor, the director, the leader of that whole team. And whether he's scoring 40 points a game or 25 points a game, he's involved in every way, shape, or form. He's got more triple-doubles in the playoffs or in the finals, I believe, than any other player, as he just passed Magic Johnson, and there's nobody even close to the two of them. So, greatest of all time? I believe he is. I believe he brings more to his team than Jordan did. Jordan was a great leader. He was a great scorer. He conducted pretty well. Didn't always rebound. Now, Jordan was probably the greatest scorer ever, but I think LeBron does it all, and that makes LeBron that much better. He can play defense. He can rebound. He can score. He passes like Magic Johnson. If you see some of these passes he makes, you don't even know where the ball's going, and all of a sudden, bam, someone's in to get 2. Or Kevin Love for 3. But all this has to come together to tie this back up to make sure that, the Cavaliers can pull off a 3-0 deficit, which I don't think anybody has ever done in the NBA playoffs. And if I'm mistaken, hey, throw that out there. Let me know. Cavs can do it. Do I think they will? I don't know. There's just too much firepower. And let's face it, Steph Curry did not have a banner game in Game 4. I don't know what to tell you. If Curry starts hitting those threes again from anywhere, I don't know if anybody can keep up with that team. I see, unfortunately, Golden State closing it out this week, Monday night. I'm looking forward to the game. And I'm rooting for the Cavs. Both teams, either one wins, I'm okay with it. I don't dislike either team, but I'm kind of rooting for the Cavs, kind of rooting for LeBron. You know, I like this greatest of all time conversation that we can have with him and Jordan. And people are going to say, well, Jordan's 6-0 in the finals. Yeah, Jordan didn't have to face a team like the Golden State Warriors ever. The closest he had was the Utah Jazz, and they had the mailman, and Malone couldn't do it all by himself. So that being said, we're going to move on. But NBA Finals, I think you're going to see it come to an end here Monday night. It's going to be a good game. Kevin Durant will be your MVP. If somehow the Cavs pull it off in this game, this pivotal Game 5, you might see the comeback then. But we'll talk after Monday. We'll see what's going to go on. We may be having a conversation Sunday that I'm shocked the Cavaliers came back and won it all. But I just don't see that happening. Moving on to Olympic basketball. This week, the International Olympic Committee announced a 3-on-3 basketball as an Olympic event. So my three, if you're talking current players, there are probably three people that are in the finals right now. But the problem is, how do you mix them together? I think any three of the top 6 guys in this finals could be the three playing. Now, you can ultimately just say, let's go Steph Curry, Kevin Durant, and we'll take LeBron. You can't leave LeBron out of it, but I think Kyrie's a better point guard, and you need a guy out there that's going to point guard. But Steph's going to drop the 3. This is like a huge controversy of how you're going to pick your 3. And then do you just pick 3 off of these teams, or do you have to go through the whole league? Is Paul George going to be involved in that conversation? Do you involve – I mean, there's just so many players out there. You could go to New Orleans. You could go to Boston. And I mean – but I would tell you, LeBron, first guy I'm going to take. If I take LeBron, I take Durant, I'm going to need a point guard. And I'm going to go with Kyrie. So my 3 would be Kyrie, Durant, and LeBron to play together against any other 3 in the Olympics. I like some other feedback on that, what people think, because this is really a tough question. I mean, you really got to sit down and, my producer gave this to me to look at right now, and I did a little thought on it, and I thought I would just talk away. But it's tough. It's tough to figure that one out. My all-time 3, well, they have to be Magic Johnson, have to include Michael Jordan. And then where do you go from there? I could put Kobe in there. I could put LeBron in there. I could put Shaq in there. I say Shaq. Jordan, Magic Johnson, and Shaq. I don't see any 3 people beating those 3 on a 3-on-3. So that was what I would say. Shaquille O'Neal, Michael Jordan, Magic Johnson, the all-time best possible threesome to play 3-on-3. Did they play at the same time? That's the only rule Skibby left me. And I think Shaq might have come in when Jordan was there, but no Magic. So that would probably defeat that. And then I would put Kobe in there instead of Magic. So Shaq, Jordan, and Kobe. Because Magic was done, I think, before Shaq came into the league. You really got me thinking on this, Skibby. I like it. That's good. Very interesting. Olympic basketball, the 3-on-3 tournament. I can't wait to see how that's going to turn out. That's going to be a nice tournament to watch. NHL Finals. Home ice. The home team's been the king. The home team's been unbeatable. Every game has been won on the home ice. And you thought Pittsburgh was going to just sweep this series when they went up 2-0 when they came to Nashville. And they found out that the Predators are just that. They're Predators. They're not going down easy. I haven't followed the Predators as much as I should have in the past. I figured I moved away from the North. I kind of moved away from my Rangers in hockey. And I won't ever turn on the Rangers. Predators are close. They're close to a hometown team, and it's something interesting to watch. So I'm going to tell you the Predators are going to win Game 6. They're going to win it 3-1. The goaltender is going to be outstanding. And the reason they're going to win it is Crosby is the best hockey player in the world right now. They need to slow him down, and they will. He got a little dirty in the last game, and I don't know if it was on purpose or if he wants to try to pretend he's Wayne Gretzky or Mario Lemieux and cry for the little hits. But I do see, checking him, taking him out, hitting him into the boards, maybe a little trip here or there, take the penalty. That's all right. You get Crosby out of the game. I mean, he just made everything happen. He had assists. He had shots on goal. The guy just started out on fire, and they couldn't slow him down. Back in Nashville with the crowd into it, I see Crosby being slowed down, and we're going to have a Game 7. The Game 7 will be in Pittsburgh, and let's see how Game 6 goes before we decide what's going to happen with the whole who wins Game 7. There will be a Game 7. For all his whining, is Sid Crosby a dirty player? I don't think so. He's no Wayne Gretzky or Mario Lemieux. He's actually a pretty good-sized kid, so he can take hits and dish them out. Gretzky was a little guy. Lemieux was just a speedster. And, someone would look at them cross-eyed and they get called for a penalty. And Crosby wants that for him. But see, here's the thing. Crosby can dish it out as much as he can take it. Lemieux and Gretzky were pure skaters. And, I mean, they were phenomenal. I would not put Sidney Crosby in the same level as them. Now, Crosby did break Mario Lemieux's all-time points in NHL Finals. But Crosby also has a better team around him than Lemieux had. So I would say that Sidney Crosby is not generally a dirty player. If he can get away with something, just like anybody else, he's gonna. It's kind of like those diva wide receivers in the NFL. They go to catch a ball and they miss it for whatever reason. They start going flag, 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 and nobody was even near him or touched him. And I think that's Crosby. Someone's going to skate by him and hit him, and he's going to where's the penalty? Come on. But if he turns around and does it, he's not going to expect it to be called. And does that make him dirty? No, that makes him, utilizing what he knows he can, kind of like a basketball player. If you bump Durant when he's going to take a shot, they're going to call a foul, and he's probably going to make the shot and get the extra. Same thing with LeBron. But if you, trample Jefferson when he's trying for a three and clobber him and knock him down, they're not going to call nothing because Jefferson's not an elite player. So these players learn what they can do, and they utilize that. And I see that's what Crosby's doing here. The difference is going to be the Nashville goalie. We're going to shut him down, and we're going to go in to Pittsburgh for Game 7, and I will have a breakdown of that game for you if it's going to happen. We'll be doing it on my Buck Stops Here blog, and you can catch that. I'll leave a link for that with my Twitter or my Facebook, and you can catch that. It's on WordPress, and I do it about 3 times a week. Blog about whatever's going on, whatever things are big and happening. I wish I could talk more about hockey. I need to follow a little more. I need to be on top of these things a little bit better, and that's what I'm doing with this show, is trying to expand what I'm doing, expand what I'm watching. So, again, anybody out there watching me, viewing, I appreciate it. It makes me interested more to do this if there's more people interested in listening. I love to take ideas. Love to hear comments and feedback, what you think I need to do better, or hey, maybe just what you want to hear about some sports from the Buckster, from my opinion, from how I see things, from my strange views. Skibby left me an excellent piece on Major League Baseball, and it has Kershaw finally put the Sandy Koufax, Clayton Kershaw debate to rest. Kershaw is probably the best pitcher in baseball right now. He's going to be in the Hall of Fame. He could retire tomorrow and he would be there. But I don't know if he's saying he's more dominant yet. I don't know if he's done enough to say he's better than Sandy Koufax. I mean, being a Dodger fan, Koufax is what you think of when you think of elite pitching. I brag about Kershaw. I would kill to get Kershaw back on the Orlando Sharks. Draft picks, players, whatever you need. Just throwing that out there. Kershaw would look good in Orlando again. But, this year he's got a little issue going on, and it may not be a bad issue for some players. But Kershaw's given up 12 home runs in 90 innings already. The worst season he's ever had, he's given up 16 total home runs. So it looks like he might have a home run issue. Now, maybe just one or two here, and they're winning 3-2 or 5-2 or 4-1. But that could come back to haunt him real bad in the playoffs. Is he throwing the fastball at the wrong time? Is he getting the wrong call by his catcher? A lot of times, the catcher's kind of the general on the field. And if he's not shaking off some of these calls, he's, throwing a grapefruit for the dude to put out of the park. Again, only 12 home runs in 90 innings. That's really not horrible. But like I said, the worst he's ever done is 16. So for Kershaw, he needs to figure that out. Can the Astros break Seattle's single-season win record? Well, I believe it's too early to tell. Signs are pointing to yes, but there's a couple factors in the American League East that haven't been factors in a while, like pure factors. The Yankees and the Bo Sox. They're both back on their winning ways. They're 1-2 in a division respectively. The Yankees with Aaron Judge just tearing it up. I mean, they're going to have to play both those teams at some point. And I know the Astros were on an 11 or 12-game win streak at one point earlier this year, which is just, that's unheard of in baseball nowadays, simply because there's just so much parity in the league. Even a team that's not so good, they have great games. Baseball's a long season. There's a lot going on with it. Excuse me a minute. It's not Starbucks anymore. It's whatever my wife made me. But I got my Starbucks this morning. Took my little puppy with me, Shyla. She loves her puppy latte. Back to baseball. Sorry about that. You get sidetracked a little bit here doing stuff. So I'm really, trying to cut some time here. I have closing time set aside, but I also want to talk Extreme Rules. The Astros, I said this earlier in the year, they are the team to beat in the American League. And watching the Astros play, I haven't seen them. I've listened to a little bit on an app I have on my phone where you can listen to different teams. And they are just a well-rounded team with some very good pitching. And they're going to make a lot of noise. I don't see anybody upsetting them in the West in the American League. I think the American League move for them was really a great move. They were in the Central here in the National League, and that was a tough division. Speaking of, you've got the American League East leading Yankees. I believe the Central, the Twins, are still leading that division, which is awesome because anything Minnesota, Teddy Bridgewater, baby, going to be back this year. Anything Minnesota is good by me, except for the Wild. I was a Minnesota North Star fan, so I can't really, I'm not jumping on the Wild bandwagon. I'd have to say my top teams in hockey would be the Rangers, the Devils, and the Predators. Anyways, if you go to the National League, I would have to tell you that the National League West is, well, in my last podcast, I was discussing if they were the best division in baseball. You've got Colorado with 41 or 42 wins, and both the Dodgers and the Diamondbacks with 38 wins. And they're the top three of the top four teams behind Washington in the National League. So how could you not say that's not the toughest division? And these guys are just going to bump each other off. So you'd have to say if one or two of them were in a different division, they might be the best teams respectively in their divisions in baseball with the top records. Seattle is not a strong team. You've got Texas, who's not a very strong team. So, Houston doesn't have a lot of competition in that division. The Angels are I say a lot of Houston's winning right now has to do with their division. They may have one of the weakest divisions in baseball. So if you look at all those factors, I don't know if Houston right now is going to pull off beating Seattle's single-season win record. That's all I got on baseball right now. I was asked about, Coop asked me to talk about with Angel star Mike Trout out, who's the American League front runner for MVP. Is it too early to say Aaron Judge could be that guy? I mean, The Yankees are winning. The kid's jacking home runs. He's got a good batting average. Just throwing that out there for questions anybody wants to pick at. I mean, it's real early. You give me a couple more shows, and I'll give you my front runner. But right now, not looking at anything, just listening to what's going on. And I hate to say it because I'm not a Yankee fan. I've learned to not hate teams anymore. I don't despise anybody. I don't despise the Cowboys. I don't despise the – all right, I might hate the Patriots. I don't know. I mean, that's a different conversation. But I mean, I don't hate the Yankees. It's not the Yankees of old that are all arrogant like the Cowboys used to be. And it's just, I don't like them. They're not my team. I'd root for somebody else if they were playing them. So I'd have to say, that being said, Aaron Judge is a good choice right now to be the possible MVP of the American League. WWE. I know a lot of you aren't into this. A lot of you don't pay attention to it. But for those who do, if you watch Extreme Rules that I really pushed, I pushed this pay-per-view. I pushed the WWE Network, and it's only $9.95 a month. If you sign up now, you get a month for free. You just go to WWE.com, and you can sign up for their network. And you get stuff like Ride Along, which I've been watching. Hilarious, hilarious show. It's just these guys, after events, wrestlers choose to take a SUV, a limo, or something, they drive. They're driving themselves, and they're just talking and riding along 2, 3, 4, 6-hour drives. And they're filming 2 different sets of wrestlers or groups driving to the next venue. And they do this by choice, but they try to be themselves, and you can kind of see some different things about the wrestlers. It's really cool. It's a good show. They have a lot of shows like this on the WWE Network, and it's only $9.95 a month. And again, your first month is free, and that'll give you the Money in the Bank. Absolutely free, coming up a week from today on Father's Day with the first ever women's Money in the Bank match. I hope it's not as disappointing as Raw's Extreme Rules was. You had the Bayley match. Bayley taking on Alexa Bliss in a what was that called? Kendo stick on a pole. So whoever climbs up the pole gets to use the kendo stick. And building up to this, Bayley wouldn't touch the kendo stick at all. She wasn't going to use it. She was reluctant because they're making her to be the nice person, and she doesn't have extreme in her. So you're thinking coming into the pay-per-view, she gets the kendo stick. She's got it, and Alexa Bliss is in the corner go, no, no, no. Bayley hesitates. Well, there you go. Bliss gets the kendo stick, beats her down, DDT, match over, Bliss wins. Horrible. I mean, it wasn't even a long match. It was just... I was very disappointed in that match. They could have gone a different route. They could have had Bayley beat Bliss down and still lose, or Bliss walk away and retain her title by walking away, because she's a heel. And as a heel with a title, it's always easy to just forget it and walk away and get the count out and keep your belt. So they didn't really do that one right. The Miz and Dean Ambrose. Now, they did it right by giving Miz the title, because the Miz, when he has a title, it gives him more to – he's a good talker when he's got something to talk about. If he's just bragging about past, y'all are just like, that's nothing, you ain't there, blah, whatever. But when he's got a title and he can be like, I'm the greatest Intercontinental champ ever, and hold up that belt and talk about 7-time Intercontinental champ, and you can't get this belt from me, and it's the Miz Tour 2.0, whatever he goes, around whatever he's using this time around. But the match was supposed to be, if Dean Ambrose gets disqualified, he loses his belt. And the week before on Monday Night Raw, Elias Sampson was wrestling Dean. And The Miz came down and attacked Sampson. Dean got disqualified. Sampson won the match. Sampson had said in a song that he owed The Miz a favor. So that all pointed to Sampson coming down and interfering with the match and letting The Miz win the belt. And that's how it should have gone down. Instead, he has Maurice slap him, and the ref almost disqualifies him for that. Like, it's The Miz's wife. You know their history. Why would you even think you're going to disqualify him? And then The Miz got thrown into the Miz threw Dean into the ref, and the ref thought Dean hit him on purpose and was going to disqualify him for that. It was just horrible. The whole way it played out was horrible. It should have been The Miz is about to lose. Maybe he gets dirty deeds, and Elias Sampson jumps in the ring out of nowhere and attacks Dean Ambrose, and bam, The Miz, or attacks The Miz as Dean is trying to pin him. My apologies. Attacks Dean. I'm really messing this up, guys. I apologize. Sampson should have come in as The Miz was about to get counted out and attacked The Miz. Hit him, elbow drop him, do his move on him, whatever it is to disqualify Dean. And then the belt changing hands would have made a lot more sense. Instead, you got a boring switch. Miz gets his skull-crushing finale, and it just looks like Dean Ambrose just lost the match, where you could have had a great Dean Ambrose-Elias Sampson rivalry going from here. The big match of the night didn't disappoint. It was a fatal five-way for a number one contendership for the Universal Champion that Brock Lesnar holds. And the great thing about this was you had people like Finn Balor, who was the first ever Universal Champion trying to get a shot back at his title. Roman Reigns, the big dog, who's just, he's the new John Cena. That's what they're going to use him as, whether he has a title or not, and people just need to get used to that. Seth freaking Rollins, okay? Seth Rollins is probably one of the most skilled wrestlers in the WWE. Bray Wyatt, who is a great martyr. This guy, I mean, he would have been the best choice to win in Samoa Joe. Now, Samoa Joe's a beast. He's, martial arts. He's a wrestler. He's a boxer. He's done everything. I mean, he really has these backgrounds, and he's really good. But the thing is if Bray Wyatt had won, being a martyr, he could have gone in against Brock Lesnar at this Great Balls of Fire pay-per-view, which is the first appearance Brock's going to have to defend his belt since he won it. And he's not going to lose unless his contract's up, and I haven't seen anything anywhere. I follow the rumors. I follow all the little things in WWE, and I have not seen anything that Brock's contract's coming up. So why would you give him a title until the next pay-per-view and take it away? So Bray Wyatt would have been the perfect person to send in to get annihilated by Brock. Maybe he lands a Sister Abigail, luckily, but Brock still gets out of it. F5s him, bam, match over after 12 trips through Suplex City. Instead, you've got this monster in Samoa Joe going against the beast incarnate Brock Lesnar at Great Balls of Fire. How is Samoa Joe's character going to recover? He's supposed to be just a total devastation machine, barreling through people. How's he going to recover getting annihilated by Brock Lesnar? To me, creative needs to look at it and go a different route. They want Strowman in there against Brock, which I think is the best matchup unless you're putting Roman Reigns in there. Now, Strowman doesn't have all the wrestling moves, but for a 380-pound, 6'8" man, he's got a heck of a drop kick. He's not afraid to go on the top ropes, and he's very powerful, as you've seen. He just manhandles, Roman Reigns. So him and Brock are going to be great. And I think at SummerSlam, if Brock's contract is coming up, you may see Braun Strowman win that belt, and that could set up a Roman Reigns, Braun Strowman WrestleMania. Just saying, because they still got that rivalry going, and Braun's mad that Roman Reigns took him out with the injured elbow. Now his elbow really was bad, really was injured. So that's a real injury. He's not just sitting off to the side in kayfabe. I don't know. I like your comments and questions if you follow wrestling on what you think about what they did with Samoa Joe. Now the win was great. They had Samoa Joe out of the ring. Everybody hit their finishers, and the coup de grace was landed by Finn Balor on Roman Reigns. So as he went to pin, all of a sudden Samoa Joe comes out of nowhere, and he goes into his coquina clutch, I believe it's called, and finished off Finn Balor. And that's a great finishing move, and everybody got to do their finisher, and he ended up winning. I'm sitting there just rooting for Bray to come in. Come on, Bray, come on, but it didn't happen. So that's your WWE in a nutshell. A very disappointing pay-per-view. Really, it's probably 3 or 4 in a row. WrestleMania was pretty good, but it wasn't the extravaganza it should have been. Creative needs to get better and make these storylines matter and make things actually happen that's going along with the storyline instead of going a complete different angle. James Bond. All right, then. Well, hello, James Bond. That's it. That was the Buck Stops here. Pretty quick show, trying to keep them short and sweet. I appreciate you watching. Be looking out for my blog on WordPress, and it's also called The Buck Stops Here, or TBSH. We'll be here next week with episode number 4 for season 2. Anything you want to have me, talk about, anything you want to hear, we'll talk some Vikings football next week. I know I had somebody asking me last week about our depth chart and wide receiver, and it's really pretty scary. I feel like I could go out and play receiver and be in the top 5. We'll get to that. We'll see what Skibby has for us on next week's show. I'm sure we'll be talking the final of the NBA Finals and the NHL playoffs. We'll be going head on into Major League Baseball, and hopefully we'll get to talk a little ABL baseball, because there's a stolen base streak in the ABL that's going to be broken very soon this year. Trust me. All you got to know is Billy Hamilton. Thank you for watching the Buck Stops Here. You can hit me up on Twitter at BuckTBSH, or you can get me on my Facebook account, or come check me out on YouTube. It's the Buckster. Thank you. Have a wonderful day.